Welcome all. There's a mood in this room. There's a vibe. There's excitement and there's energy, and it's the excitement that comes from hope. It's the excitement, I think, that comes from knowing that we're together on a righteous cause. And so when we do that, when we're together, we can do great things. And so I am pleased to be here and be part of this excitement. I'm Cece Clark. I am the daughter of immigrants. And also the proud chair of the Board of Trustees of Goodwin Living. And on behalf of the Board of Trustees, and some board members are here today, raise your hands. I'm so excited that we have several board members here with us. It's my privilege to welcome you, those present in the room and those who are online, to this afternoon's program celebrating advocacy on behalf of our dedicated immigrant community. Present with us today, we have resident leaders in this movement. We have members of our team who serve in a variety of capacities within Goodwin Living and demonstrate tremendous commitment, really impressive commitment to their roles and those they serve, and to their own families. And in particular, I'll spotlight Rob, our intrepid CEO, whose work you'll hear more about, and perhaps more importantly, definitely more importantly, Jennifer, his wife, from whom I am convinced he gets all his best ideas. And so, Jennifer, on behalf of a grateful organization, we thank you. Goodwin Living is a special community, and I mean that, community, singular. Those of us who are members of this community, we're partners. We're residents, we're team members, we're Board of Trustee members, and we are Foundation Board members. And we're partners in a very special endeavor. And that's that when we come together as a whole, we're greater than the sum of our parts. And we use that strength and creativity to look outwards and to serve others together. So how do we do that? We do that by being principled and bringing our words, our rhetoric, to life with actions. And we know that what has worked well in the past won't necessarily work well in the future, won't necessarily propel us forward. And so that creativity, that ingenuity that we see here is very important. In her book, The Dictionary of Lost Words, some of you may have read that book, author Pip Williams writes, "Our thinking was limited by convention, the most subtle but oppressive dictator." Today, we celebrate that our community and our friends at the American Business Immigration Coalition, ABIC, refuse to be under the thumb of the limits of convention. Our residents said, we are going to support team members, members of our community, and actively support them, not just in our words, actively support them to become US citizens. And the Goodwin Living Foundation, and we have our foundation head of our foundation and our foundation board chair here, our foundation said, right on, we're in it with you. And team members desiring to be US citizens put in the work. In fact, all of those parties have worked hard. They've worked tirelessly. In late 2024, the Board of Trustees started coming to the party too. And we began having much more serious conversations about the tone and the direction that the national conversation on immigration was taking, and how Goodwin Living can best support our team members, secure our workforce in the short and the long term, and do so in a way that reflects our principled approach. We agreed that silence is not neutrality. and silence is not helpful. Goodwin Living needed to be visible. So we as a board support and encourage the focus on supporting our immigrant team members who are here in the US with the required documentation to work here and are contributing to our community. So as a board member, I feel confident speaking for the board in its entirety. Hopefully the board will nod when I say we are so supportive of the work being done here at Goodwin Living and the work done in partnership with ABIC, and I thank you all engaged in that work. ABIC is led by a dynamic leader who also has not been bound by convention, right? So we're kindred spirits. Rebecca Shee is ABIC's chief executive, and she herself is an immigrant who has dealt with difficult and scary, yes, a lot of this immigration stuff is scary, immigration issues in her own family. And she chose not to simply breathe a sigh of relief when those issues were resolved, but rather to serve others. She's done yeoman's work in finding elegant win-win solutions. I was particularly enthralled when I heard the story of how early in her career, very early in her career, she found a bipartisan path to getting temporary driver's licenses in Illinois for undocumented immigrants by fairly representing this as a highway safety issue. And so law enforcement was on board, insurers were on board, bipartisan support. Very clever, very smart, and that was early in her career, and we can only imagine the great thoughts she's thinking now. And so it's my great pleasure to introduce Rebecca Shee. Let me tell you a little bit more about her. She's a University of Chicago grad, and she's worked as an advocate for immigrants beginning in 2012 when she joined the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. In 2014, she became executive director for the Illinois Business Immigration Coalition, and in 2017, became the executive director of ABIC, and ultimately its CEO. She has been tireless these last 14 months as immigration policy has changed significantly. She's worked with policymakers to secure introduction and co-sponsors several pieces of legislation to support immigrant workers, and has led a team that has moved quickly to work with businesses who seek to tell their story and capture important media coverage. Last October, Rebecca hosted a press conference on the Capitol steps that featured not only Rob, but also our resident, the visionary, Rita Siebenaller. And so I'm delighted to introduce Rebecca to share about the state of immigration advocacy in our country, and then present a significant honor to Rob. Let's thank Rebecca for her work and welcome her to the lectern.
Thank you so much, Cece, for that beautiful introduction and just for your really, really moving words and reflection for this moment that we're in. And I just want to say, as somebody who works for a board of directors and my board chair, it is not unnoticed how any of the work that we do is only possible because of the board and your leadership and your support. So thank you so much, Cece. Round of applause, yeah. I'm really, really thrilled to be here with all of you today, to be with Rob and Lindsay and the incredible Rita. I still think about just her remarks from that day, and then there were subsequent press conferences as well where you spoke on the issue, and just in a really, really beautiful and moving way. So I'm really appreciative. I spent the last few days on the Hill, around the events surrounding the State of the Union, but talking about immigration policy and workforce. But it's really in a room like this, and what Cece just mentioned as well, with our residents, with our caregivers, that we know that immigration is not just headlines, it is not just data, but that it is personal. And so I'm really, really proud to work with Rob and Goodwin Living. And I'm going to just go through like very quickly. There's like a PowerPoint that I'm going to share in terms of where we are with immigration policy and sort of what's our strategy to win in this very difficult environment. But I also just want to highlight so much of what we've done, especially this last year, could not have been possible without Goodwin, without Rob and Lindsay, and the whole team here. So just a little bit quick introduction in terms of who we are as ABIC. We are a bipartisan coalition of now over 1,700 employers and CEOs from around the country. Sort of in this map where you see are highlighted are the states where we have presence of business leaders. So in addition to healthcare and elder care, we have construction CEOs, dairy farmers, cattle ranchers, manufacturers, hotels, restaurants, technology companies. So really runs the gamut of sectors where immigrants play a significant role. And you can see some of the data. Oh, whoops! If you can go back to some of the data, right? In terms of 50% of immigrants on a dairy workers on a dairy farm are immigrants. 39% of workers in construction are immigrants. So some of this data tracks also with the sectors and the industries that are most engaged with our work. Next slide, please. I mentioned we have a dedicated staff of over 25 team members around the country. So we have Lucho here, you'll hear from shortly, who works primarily on temporary protected status and our long-term care givers workforce. We have Nick here, who's part of our communications team and provides all of this like beautiful data and slideshows in addition to everything. I think he's going to sign up for Goodwin Living because I hear the list is very long, so he's got like about 50 years. But he had a great experience here yesterday, so thank you, Rita, and everyone that made him feel, Lindsay, very, very welcome. And we do our advocacy through, we have a nonprofit 501c3, we have a C4 that allows us to do more public lobbying of legislation. And then we also have a super PAC called Building America's Economy, because a lot of times with these politicians, they just think about their next election. And so we want to make sure that as businesses and voters, that there are consequences, right? We want to reward people that support our immigrants and workforce, and those that don't, we want to hold them accountable. So we do have a couple of entities that allowed us to communicate and act in a very flexible way. So next slide, please. So this is just some of our board members and leadership, and we really, really do believe in this bipartisanship because it takes both wings of a plane in order to fly, and we think to get bipartisanship, we can have things that are much more permanent in terms of workforce and immigration solutions. So I'll just go quickly in terms of where we are today, and also a little bit about myself. So I came to this country when I was 10 years old from China, and my father first got the opportunity because he was getting his postdoctoral degree at Harvard. He sponsored me and my mother. My father and I got our green cards, and then we later become U.S. citizens. But then unfortunately, my mother actually became undocumented. And she was a doctor in China as well, but without legal status. She worked in Chinese restaurants. She also worked in an assisted living home, and she, was always working. I remember we would go to Payless, the shoe store, every month because she would just walk her shoes like to the sole, just from the amount of work she was doing. And luckily, and I think Cece mentioned, my mother was able to get her green card at the age of 61 after spending about 25 years in this country. And so we're very, very lucky. And as soon as I remember she got her green card, she applied for a job for a hospital system and became a laboratory director, and she was treating patients with cancers and ulcers. And it's just something I hear every day from our employers is that if we legalize people who are already contributing, you just unleash their economic potential, and that's good for everyone, right? So we're just, really, really lucky in terms of our story. So where are we today? We know that following the 2024 elections, there has been a dramatic shift in immigration policy, and really led by the president, but there's an individual named Stephen Miller that's moving, the policy towards aggressive enforcement and mass deportations. So the first policy that we saw last year was the passage of this big, beautiful bill, and inside was about $140 billion additional dollars for the Department of Homeland Security for ICE, specifically to arrest, detain, and deport immigrants. The other kind of factor here is that there is a quota that Stephen Miller has issued to ICE to arrest 3,000 people a day. So these ICE agents are running around with this pressure. It's kind of like when I don't know if you live in the city, I don't know about here, but like when the cops have to like meet their quota to ticket, right? To ticket people for the budget coffer. So you're under that pressure, and that's why we're seeing the consequences of people being like grabbed while they're on their way to work, while they're driving, or even U.S. citizens being arrested and detained, because it's one of those like we'll act now and like figure it out later, even just under this pressure of filling this 3,000 per day quota. Various contracts have been signed and implemented with detention centers, so also funded by this big, beautiful bill. So what has happened since? What we've seen, and this has been supported by data from both the federal government and also independent foundations like the Pew Research, showing that there's about 1.4 million immigrants, both legal and unauthorized, who have exited our workforce as a result of this shift, right, in immigration policy. And the other thing is that if you go to the next slide, Nick, I'm sorry, maybe back to the previous one. The other thing that we've seen is that the majority of those who have been arrested have zero criminal history, something around over 76%. So despite what we heard last night, right, about immigrants and criminals, the FBI's own data shows that immigrants commit crimes at lower rates than native-born Americans. And so the vast majority are working, law-abiding, and are not criminals. So if we move forward, as ABIC, we kicked off and in partnership with Goodwin and Rob, what we call Secure America's Workforce. The president, since last year, has secured the border. The border is sealed, like nobody is coming in, right? And the president has been very aggressive in terms of arresting and detaining people. The piece that is now, we believe, must address, urgently needs to be addressed, is now the workforce. So that we've called, Rita has our button, thank you for wearing the button, but we call the campaign Secure America's Workforce, that for people that have been here working, paying taxes, our caregivers, our construction workers, our nannies, our gardeners, they deserve a path to permanency and a path to legal status. So that's kind of our broad a goal. And then also we do a lot of employer know your rights trainings from around the country, particularly where we have seen hotspots like in Los Angeles, Chicago, Minneapolis, or South Texas, or now even in Idaho and Nevada, where there's been more ICE raids at workplaces. The next, and then just in terms of how we do work, we organize businesses by sector, so healthcare or manufacturing or construction. We do a lot of mainstream media as well as conservative media, and then some of the bipartisan solutions that we're pushing for that would have a legal status include the Dignity Act, and again, we educate lawmakers and as well as the public on the consequences of aggressive enforcement and then the positive outcomes of legal status. So in terms of where we are today, and we're seeing this actually playing out a lot in the public, is that we believe, and we're seeing this in the pollings and the recent elections, across the country as well, that this aggressive enforcement and mass deportations has reached the level of has crossed the line, right? There has been an overreach that people and everyday Americans and voters are standing up to say, hey, this isn't the right approach, and that people that we know, our neighbors, our community members, are being hurt. And so we believe that overreach is generating this backlash from everyday Americans standing up, and just inside of this backlash creates an opportunity for solutions like legal status and work permit and legal pathways for our immigrant workers. And that we're heading into an election in November with the midterms, and typically, and we've had the experience even under the first Trump administration, ahead of an election, a lot of times politicians tend to act faster and maybe sometimes smarter because they want to keep their jobs. And so we're really taking this opportunity to put our ask in, right? We want to protect TPS. We want to make sure that our immigrant workers have legal permanency. And then the voice of employers like Rob and Leading Age have just been really critical, connecting the immigration issue to inflation, to workforce shortages, and that is something politicians are very much influenced by as well. So this is just like some pictures of the work that we do connecting businesses to lawmakers and decision makers on the Hill, Republicans and Democrats. And then the next slide is we're also in the districts. We take members of Congress on the work site, like on a farm, on like on a dairy farm, and just to show how difficult it is to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning and like milk a 6,000-pound animal. That isn't something that Americans are just like so excited to do. Right? You see that picture with Congressman Mike Flood of Kansas. So we're also like kind of take this around the country so that the members of Congress can really feel it in their district. And then we do a lot of media, and I was just telling Cece and another board member earlier, the amount of media that actually Rob and Goodwin, because you've decided to be vocal and public, has resulted in a shift in the public conversation about this issue, right? This isn't just about the border, the chaos, this is actually about real people doing the hard work in our communities for Americans, including our senior residents, and everything from, I think you guys were on USA Today and NPR and Wall Street Journal. And so that combined, with voices from agriculture and construction really is helping to shift this conversation. Even the president, right, has said multiple times, there hasn't been action yet, right? We're gonna push for action, but multiple times recognizing that that this is hard work and immigrants are hard workers. So next, and we work with everybody, right? This is the chair of the House Freedom Caucus, Andy Harris, was at the press conference with us last year talking about the work that immigrants do, and he represents a district in Maryland, actually, and he says that, who are the people that are fishing the crabs, right, in Maryland, are immigrants, right? So even the very extreme, very MAGA-aligned House Freedom Caucus is having that recognition. Next slide, please. And then so this is actually really important. So last month there was the economic data report in terms of how well the economy is doing, share that healthcare and home aids is where the growth is happening. And actually I was communicating with Rob and Lindsay about this. If this sector doesn't exist, healthcare, home aids doesn't exist as a sector, our economy would have flatlined. this last period. So as a result, in the middle, we have this coalition that we launched, and Lucho is helping to lead, and Goodwin Leading Age are at the center of it, that we call Care for Seniors, Care for America. Is that it's not AI, right? It's not ChatGPT that's driving the economy. It is actually healthcare, senior care, and home aids. And so if we want this, the only part of the economy that's growing right now, if we want this to be strong, we need to have a strong workforce. So you'll hear a little bit more about what we're doing with the coalition dedicated to senior care, but our immediate goal is to protect TPS, temporary protected status for our team members, and then also permanent legal status for our team members in this care workforce. So next slide. So that's our coalition, Care for Our Seniors, Care for America, the coalition members, and then this data, which is very real here. 1 in 4 long-term care worker is an immigrant, and by 2030, we're gonna need 3.5 million additional healthcare and elder care workers, because our population is we're not growing, right? So next slide, please. And then again, just in terms of the press that has been done on this issue has been really, really active, and will continue to do so to have the voice of healthcare and senior care. So this brings up me to, given just everything that is happening, we're really, really grateful to partner with Rob and Goodwin Living, because I think at this moment, just despite all of the rhetoric, I do see Republicans and Democrats coming together, just acknowledging that our workforce needs are not going away, that our population is aging, and the demand for caregiving is rising. And so I am hopeful that we will see solutions, and in particular because of leaders like Rob. Rob's work in this space reflects what this conversation should really be about, which is dignity, compassion, courage, and also long-term thinking. It's really clear ever since we met Rob and Rita and Lindsay and this whole community, that this place has been built on respect, been built on dignity, and that quality care depends on quality workers. And so Rob has consistently demonstrated that caring for seniors means caring for the people who serve them. So just really, really thank you to Rob, and your leadership reminds us that this work is about morals and about what's practical to have solutions. So it is my pleasure on behalf of the American Business Immigration Coalition, our board of directors, and our 1,700 business leaders across the country. We are so honored to present to you our ABIC's Impact Leadership Award. Rob, you are an impact leader because of your commitment to American seniors, to caregivers, and to the long-term health of our communities. So I'm really grateful to you. I'm really grateful to all of the residents who are here, and we invite you to also join this fight for policies that we can ensure that everyone can age with security, continuity, and the care that you deserve. And so really also appreciate all of your voice, and for all of the team members, just we value you, and we're working every day to build an economy and a country worthy of your contributions. So thank you all very, very much, and I'm so glad to present this to Rob.
Thank you, Rebecca. Your unwavering leadership and all those who are part of ABIC Coalition, you're amazing. Can we give them another round of applause? When the leaders of Leading Age introduced us not that long ago, I have to say we were so relieved to know that there were thousands of other organizations across this country advocating for immigration and a secure workforce in a variety of fields and sectors. Rebecca, you lead with hope, you lead with clarity, and I'm honored to represent Goodwin Living as a committed partner to lifting up the voice of senior living providers throughout the country who depend today and certainly will depend tomorrow on the immigrant population to support the rapidly growing older adult population in the United States. Thank you again for your great work. In thinking about today and this organizational honor, I start with the belief that we are so lucky and fortunate to be here, to be together, to be able to support, honor, and uplift each other as the mission of Goodwin Living asks us. Let's take a moment of silence just to acknowledge before us all who made this possible, all the generations who came before us, whether by choice or by force, who came to this country for the first time, allowing us to be in this moment. In particular, I want to start with and thank the brave and dedicated team members of Goodwin Living, nearly 1,500 strong, who represent more than 80 countries, with over 70% of our team members coming from the immigrant community. Can we give them a round of applause? That's one of them calling me right now. We'll hire your friend. That's great. As long as they have legal status. It is their story of sacrifice and determination which motivates us to be in this moment. The team members who left their country to chart a new course for themselves and their future generations, knowing they wouldn't be able to see their spouses or children for years, just for the chance at a better life. That's inspiring. How many of you in this room have gone through that? Come to this country with that in mind. Yeah. And how many of you are related to someone who's done that on your behalf? Yeah. We all are. We all are. I want to thank our residents who continue to advocate for ways to uplift our team members and even entertain them at night. There's stories to be told, I'm sure, but we'll have to hear more about that later. We had Nick from ABIC come and stay over last night. So he had dinner, and there's other things after. I'm still sorting out that. Yeah, he's media, right? We didn't see any postings, Nick. Okay, good. Yeah, so this has definitely been highlighted by residents helping us to engage older adults on immigration through VACRA and NACRA across the country, which has been so important. And of course, we heard about in 2018 when Rita Siebenhaler put forth the idea of supporting U.S. citizenship efforts on behalf of our team members. And as referenced, 8 years later, through the generosity of those who supported the Goodwin Living Foundation, nearly 250 team members, along with their family members, already have achieved or are on their path to permanent U.S. citizenship. It's an amazing program where Goodwin Living Foundation donors pay for the fees associated with the U.S. citizenship test and also pair team members with resident tutors to help study and prepare for the test, a test that has become harder in the last several months. This is a wonderful example of the awesome mutuality we are blessed to know throughout Goodwin Living. I also want to add my thanks, as Rebecca did, to our volunteer board members who continue to support our efforts to show the human face of the story of immigration, one which needs to be told so it is not a story of others, rather real people connected to our residents and older adults we serve in the broader community. Can we give them a hand? And I want to share this honor, too, with our Goodwin Living leadership team, especially Lindsay Hutter as a key thought partner, Fran Casey as a tireless advocate for each team member, and Katiana Jolame, who continues to exemplify humanity and grace through times difficult and joyful. Can we give them a hand, too? I'll probably shed a tear or two coming, so just know that. I want to thank our collective extended Goodwin Living family, the family members of our team members, the residents and board members, and my own family. Thanks for being here, Jennifer, who took time to join me today. You continue to cheer us on and encourage us to take an important stand for what is right in this moment. Thank you for your love and support through hard and challenging days. I finally want to acknowledge that the last 30 days have brought much sadness, heartache, and joy. Just a little bit of joy. We lost some beloved team members, including Alex Joseph, who was part of a Goodwin House Alexandria team. It was just in June of 2024 that we helped Alex find a way for his wife and young child, baby, to come here from Haiti, only to witness Alex passing 18 months later. If we can please hold Alex and his family in our heart. By the grace of a federal judge, we narrowly avoided forcing 350,000 people in the United States here from Haiti on temporary protective status to go back to Haiti where it is not safe, where our own government recommends not traveling to because it's too dangerous. Where is the humanity, and how does this even make sense? Especially when 20% of those from Haiti in our country serve in senior living and healthcare. We need more compassionate hands, not less. In the joy, well, that came in the form of a hug from Junior, who is part of our Goodwin House Bailey's Crossroads dining team, who we had to let go along with 3 other team members in July of 2025 because of the humanitarian parole that had been permanently ended, only to welcome back Junior this month after a lengthy legal effort supported by generous donors to the Goodwin Living Foundation and a lot of work from Brittany and others. Thank you. It provides a true glimmer of hope. Thanks. One of our written values at Goodwin Living includes, we believe each person is sacred. Each person is of sacred worth. We know the tremendous value each person who chooses to serve within our Goodwin Living family has on the lives of others. And we look forward to teaming with ABIC, Leading Age, NACRA, and all in this room for a better tomorrow. To conclude, I'd like to share the moving prayer of Episcopal priest Brian Baker. Bless your eyes so you see God in everyone. Bless your ears so you hear the cry of the poor. Bless your lips so you speak nothing but the truth with love. Bless your hands so that everything you give and everything you receive is a sacrament. Bless your feet so you run to those who need you. And may the heart be so open, so set on fire, that your love changes everything. Thank you. All right, Lucho, it's your turn. Come up. He's a project director of ABIC, leading much of the advocacy work that we're doing. Please give him a hand as he shares about care for seniors.
Good afternoon. It's gonna be hard to top that. I got about 9 minutes for you, and I'm gonna use the first one to tell you why I'm here. I am obviously an immigrant because of the accent, you can probably tell. And I am one of those immigrants that did it the right way. I came here with a green card. I got lucky. But the reason why I'm speaking here today is because my mother did not come the right way. And she spent many years working in resident communities. She spent many years working, taking care of other people. So when she passed very young, she passed when she was like 52 years old. I promised myself that I was not gonna let her sacrifice go in vain. So today I am really thankful. I am really thankful to my mother for what she did. I am very thankful to all the Americans that helped her out, that gave her a hand. I am thankful to Becca for hiring me to do this job. And today, more than most days, I am thankful to Rob and to the business leaders like him and the leadership of Goodwin Living who have put themselves out there to tell the story in times when it was the most difficult. Because this is the most difficult time to do this work and to do the speaking out and to do the outreach and to make the calls and to send the email and just to put your name out there. A lot of other employers have told me, yeah, I support you 1,000%, but sadly, I cannot go public. And I have to understand because everybody has different situations and different responsibilities. But since I've been doing this work, it has been Goodwin Living and Lindsay Hutter and Rob and people like them that have kept us going and that have kept us reminding ourselves that you don't know which employer is actually going to want to speak out. So as I am thankful for all of you to your work, I am also reminded that I have to tell you the things that need to get done in order to make a difference. And that is my role. My role is to give you actionable steps, things that all of us can do in order to change the landscape that we're at. To begin with, as some of you are representing the Virginia Continuing Care Resident Association, is anybody here from VACRA? Can you stand up, please, real quick, and give you a quick round of applause to the folks from VACRA? Because it's been VACRA, thank you all so much, because it's been VACRA and NACRA, the National Continuing Care Resident Associations, that has already signed a bunch of letters, that has volunteered to send more information, that has communicated with other seniors in order to uplift this issue. We are here in Virginia right now. Right now you have a governor that is really throwing down for the issue. So this is why NACRA is also important, because some of your colleagues and some of your peers live in districts and live in states where we have not gotten as much support yet. There are districts where we really will need an extra congressman to sign a discharge petition for TPS, for instance. There is a discharge petition that is right now in Congress, and we need one more Republican. We already got 3. We need one more so that discharge petition goes to the floor and we can keep fighting for Haitians another day. And we only have a couple of weeks, right? Because the Supreme Court is going to rule any day now. I don't have to tell you how the Supreme Court is likely to rule on that. So we need to put that to the floor. So I want to start this by saying, if you know anybody in South Florida, Hialeah area, Miami, that is a good place to start calling your friends at. Because those Congress people have a lot of Haitians in their district and they haven't signed yet. Just like that, there are folks in New York 17, the Hudson Valley. Everybody thinks that New York, is all blue. We don't have to worry about New York, Well, you have to cross the river, and then there is another New York out there that has other representatives that have not signed the petition yet. There are places in Ohio. The governor of Ohio, a current Republican governor, is speaking in favor of Haitian TPS holders, yet we have not gotten a single Republican in the House to sign this discharge petition. And I can keep on going with examples, but the fact is that it's not going to be enough with just you making a call. And I thank you for all your calls. We're going to need op-eds. We are going to need contacts with press. We are going to have legislative meetings. We are going to need to have, a conscious presence, constant presence, reminding them of why this is important. And ultimately, we are going to need everybody to tell your story and to reach out to other people that can tell your story. Before I keep on going, I also want to recognize all of the staff here, everybody at Goodwin Living, because you also have a role to play. A lot of you cannot vote. I couldn't vote for a long time, so I know how it feels. Sometimes it feels like you don't have a voice, right? The fact is that this system, this democracy, allows you to have a voice even though you cannot vote. And allows you to reach out to people privately if you can. And there are people who care. So I don't want to put anybody in jeopardy. I don't want to put anybody to put themselves at risk. There are others, those of us who can put ourselves at risk for you. But it is important to reach out. To reach out to people like us, today, to other people who may be able to speak out on your behalf. Because if you don't know, you don't do. And we have already met so many employers who just didn't know that their workforce, had an immigration issue. And they are finding out like this week. They will be finding out when their visas are revoked in a couple of weeks, a couple of months. And if they don't know, they're not going to do anything, right? So it is also important for you all to tell your employers, tell your friends to tell your employers, and for those employers to reach out to us so that we can put them to work. Lastly, I would like to say that with the campaign that we put together, Care for Seniors, Care for America, that messaging is a big important part here. That we are not making the case just as a humanitarian issue. That we're not just making the case because it's the right thing to do, even though it is the right thing to do and it is a humanitarian issue. We're making the case because this is affecting Americans. This is affecting American seniors. We know for a fact by now, because we have been successful in many instances, that that is a case that still hasn't been made enough times. It has been made the case once or twice, but it hasn't been made the case enough times. We need Americans to say, hey, we need all this workforce because we need them, and because our economy needs it, and because our kids will not want, to take off work, to come work at the house. And that is a case that most politicians still have not heard, and that is a case that we are making. So we are coming with Leading Age, who has been an amazing partner for us doing this work. And with Leading Age and the SCIU, NDWA, and the TPS Alliance, who are labor organizations, we are coming in saying like, hey, this is not just the business people talking. I know I'm wearing the tie today, but the fact is that this is not just business people talking. This is business, this is employers, and this is customers. This is America talking. And that is the message that we are trying to portray with Care for Seniors, Care for America. We are going to need more people to make this case. We are currently recruiting people to write op-eds to their local papers. We are currently recruiting people to send that message, in meetings with their congresspeople, with the staff. And we, most importantly, need people to go to the press and make this case with us. So if anybody is interested in making that case, I am really good with timing. If anybody is really interested in making that case, please just reach out to the leaders that you see here. They will get to me eventually. I do this for a living. We all do this for a living. And we need to make sure that if we fail at this, at least they are going to pay hell for it. Thank you so much.
Any questions?
It's a very shy group. They never have any questions or any statements. This is very typical. No hands ever get raised.
I would just like somebody to address this issue. You know, when they say, write your congressman, we've got 2 congressmen, I think, in Virginia who are very good. So I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, or, you know, I'm not worth, my letters aren't worth anything because they're already taking my side. So do I try to write somebody else, or, you know, what do I do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the network that you're in with NACRA can be very important here, because there are other residents who are in districts that we're going to need the congressman's help. And so we can share those districts, like South Florida, like Lucho said, is a key place. And we just need one more Republican for the Haitian TPS petition for the House. And so we can give you the top 10, 15 districts, and perhaps through the NACRA network, you can identify who you may know in some of those districts and have them write to their congressman, because that will make a difference.
Yeah, I just want to accentuate that. I've been spending the last week and a half calling providers and CEOs of other organizations, senior living organizations in Hudson area, New York, in Springfield, Ohio. There's a location in California. We've got another CEO who's calling folks in Florida. So we're trying to do exactly what Rebecca just said. You know, reach into others, even if we've got good support here. You know people, and those people are loved ones, cousins, family, friends. Those are the people that if you touch base with and say, hey, you know, do you have any team members? Like I talked to a CEO out in California, and I said, hey, I know this Haitian TPS thing's coming up, and it's a big deal, 350,000 lives. And I said, do you have any, you know, does this resonate with you? She said, well, I don't have any Haitian people. I said, oh, well, have you faced this at all? Well, I had 2 people from Nicaragua. They were our best team members, and we had to let them go. And it's like, yeah, that's it. Like, that's the thing. Like, let's jump on board. Let's do this. Because, by the way, I don't have any Haitian TPS issues either. That's not why I'm jumping in. We lost people before to humanitarian parole. We have folks from El Salvador that are at risk in March. But if we don't step up consistently, we're going to find problems, you know, eventually that impact us directly. So that's what you can do for sure, Tony. And then add it into your songs. You know, put a spirited song in there about the need for, you know, secure workforce, and sing from the rooftops.
Oh,
yeah.
If you want, we can capture you on video and you can go viral. And right? I mean, Trump is always on Twitter, right? So it's a great idea.
Yeah. Other questions, thoughts?
Hi, I'm Barbara. I don't have a question, I have a comment. And that as a person living here, I'm really proud of Goodwin Living and the board and of Rob. And it just makes me really happy.
We might leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll be around for additional questions too.
And I'll just take a moment to formally close our proceedings then. Thank you for the data. Thank you for the stories. Thank you for the practical ideas about what to do. If you don't know, you don't do. And so now we know, and the job is to help other people to also know so that they can do. So thank you for being with us. Please stick around, enjoy each other, talk with each other, meet each other, and in community and in partnership, let's think about next steps. Thanks.